Hey everybody, I hope you're having a good day. So I'm going to talk about something totally different today, and I'm just going to talk. There's no demonstration. There's no nothing. It's just me talking. So I'm going to talk about my child, my youngest child. I have 3 kids. My oldest is 24 and a very successful hairstylist, colorist, very amazing at what she does. My son, who is 21, is halfway through his bachelor's degree. And my youngest is an amazing artist. M is non-binary. As a parent, it's really hard. It's super hard. I'm kind of a Generation X. I was born in 75, so I grew up in like the 80s and 90s, and we didn't have all of these different terms for people. It was boy or girl, him and her, husband and wife, male and female. There wasn't this mixture of people, and I'm not saying they weren't there. I'm just saying that that's not how people identified, and it's not how society identified people. And I think that's still happening today, to where that transition is happening, and there's a little bit of fight back. But as a parent, it's hard. And I say this because we've had such a long road with this. Now, all of my kids were pretty normal, to what you would call a normal kid. Was very bouncy, energetic, fun, funny, just, Goldilocks hair, dresses and everything, princesses, up until she was about 12 years old. And there was a bullying issue at her middle school that we didn't know about. And one day we got a call, and they said that she had passed a note to the teacher, a suicide note, that she was going to walk into traffic. So that started the long road of suicidal ideation, depression, anxiety. She was admitted to a psychiatric hospital for 8 days, just evaluations, medications, counseling, just therapists, everything. And we just didn't know what was going on. It was really, really hard for us as a family to try to understand what was happening. And so we were only focusing on the depression, mental side of things. And something happened when M turned like 15, 16. There was this maybe even 14. There was this transition from very girly girl, artsy, to more tomboy. Now, when M came out as what she thought was gay, we were very understanding. Like, I don't care what you are. I don't care what your sexuality is, as long as you're happy and healthy, whatever. My religion didn't even come into that. And technically, M was baptized LDS when she was really little, when she was 8, and she still is. There's been no change. But something changed past that. As the time progressed through high school, there became this non-binary thing. And as a parent, when your child comes to you and says, I feel more male today than I do female, you're like, what? Get out of my kitchen. I don't know what you're talking about. Somebody has to be influencing you. Someone has to be, convincing you that you're not female today. I don't know. Following trends or fads, or you saw it on the internet or whatever, just get out of the kitchen, because I don't have time for this today. But that kept going. And it wasn't a sexuality thing. It's an identity thing. And I know people are going to slaughter me and beat me with a stick for saying thing. But I'm saying that because as a parent, when your child comes to you and drops his bombshell on you, that's how you feel. It feels like a bombshell. That your child doesn't identify as male or female, or one day and one the other day, or whatever it is. It's hard because we don't understand. This isn't something we grew up with. It's not something that we know about. It's like learning a new language. These are terms that we don't understand. And unless it unless you're a really curious person and you just like to know about that stuff, you wouldn't really know about it unless it's in your life. I mean, because I'm just going to say, I've got a friend who actually has a movie. It's called Finding Kim, and he went through a whole gender reassignment, everything, and from female to male. And Kim's been a huge part of my life. He is amazing, and I have gone to him for questions and answers because I didn't understand. I didn't. That's something that I knew about, but I didn't have like a direct interest in it, so it didn't really affect me. I just knew a little bit because of society. I didn't know it from a different perspective as a parent. So wanted to do chest binding at one point, and I was like, what the heck? Do you know what kind of damage that could do? You're making decisions that could affect the rest of your life. Please wait. And as a mom, it was like, please, please, please don't make these drastic decisions that you could end up regretting later. Please. But there was nothing we could do, and was just determined to do that stuff. And I don't think that Em's doing that now. I haven't asked recently, but it was a big part of her life for a good year. And when Em brought that to me, I had to go to Kim and ask, what is this? Is she doing it the right way? What do I need to know? How can I as a parent help her, but also protect her from this type of stuff? I mean, I know she can find anything out on the internet, and I'm afraid that there's influence going on or whatever. And Kim was really great at helping me with that situation. And there's been other things, like in the beginning, I did identify her sexuality with her identity because I felt that was crisscrossed, and it's not. I'm telling you, is totally different. Now, some people might cross the two together or mix them or whatever. There's a million different types of people out there. But for my child, her sexuality is not the same as her identity. And that's the way she is. So as a parent, we have to take it one day at a time. I will ask today, what do you identify with as today? What's today's verdict? And that's the understanding we have, because I try not to offend but I don't know what she feels like today. So I ask, what do you identify with today? If she comes down the stairs in a suit and a tie, I know that it's probably a masculine day. If she comes down in a dress and makeup, I know it's probably a female day. And I just go from there. Now, one of the big battles that we've had here in my house is her name. And it's been, sorry, the dog's knocking over the light. It's been hard because Em came to me probably a year and a half ago and said, I want you to call me Eddie. What? I did not give you the name Eddie. I gave you the name Emily. And I've been calling you Emily for 18 years. You want me to all of a sudden stop calling you Emily and call you Eddie? Nope. And I held my ground for a long time as a morals and principles thing, that I gave you that name. That is the name that I'm going to call you, and I'm sorry. And she said, 99% of the people in my life call me Eddie. And I said, congratulations. You've managed to get 99% of the people in your life to go on your terms. And that is amazing. Good job. But for me, it's not that easy. I've been calling you Emily for your whole life. I cannot just stop and start calling you something different. There is habit there, for one. And for two, I had a principle on it of, until it's on your driver's license, I'm not going to call you something different. When you're that serious about it, then I will call you something different. And we've come to a common ground where I will call her M. I've always called her Emmy, but I will call her M, especially when other people are around, like her friends and things like that, because it's hard for her to explain, well, Emily and Eddie and all these different things. And she goes by Eddie even at work and stuff like that. And so I call her M to shorten it up. And I'm pretty good about it, but sometimes I do say Emily. But it took me time to adjust. It took me time to adjust to that idea that this was something that she was serious about. And I'm not going to lie, as a parent, I thought it was a fad. I thought it was, influence from the internet. I thought it was all these different things. But it's taken me time to learn. A lot of people ask us, how do you deal with sleepovers? Well, so at first we had two choices. Nobody sleeps over, or they use the spare room. They use the guest room. They sleep somewhere else. And that works. And I would say that to my son, and I would say it to my daughter, my other daughter. Because it took me a long time to figure out that it wasn't about sexuality. It was about identity. But M has had a long-term girlfriend that has just become a kind of a permanent fixture around here. She kind of comes and goes with M, and it's, it is what it is. Now, I'm not particularly fond of her because she's a little outspoken, but whatever, and this is my house. But it's taken some getting used to. And the one thing I could say to the kids out there, or to people out there, help educate other people. If this is something you're going to tell your parents, or you're going to open up to your parents or your family or your friend or whoever it is, help them understand what these terms are. Help them understand this identity thing, that it's not related to sexuality. Help them understand, because when M came to me with this, she exploded on me and I didn't know what any of it meant. So education is everybody's responsibility, not just the people that don't know. It's important for everybody to know these things. And so, I'm really religious, and that's okay. I don't let it get in the way of my child because she chooses not to be religious, and that's fine. That's M's deal, not mine. And as a person, I don't let my religion get in the way of her lifestyle, and vice versa. It's however she wants to settle up. And that's her business, not mine. We don't mix the two. She lives in an LDS house, and we managed to get along just fine. Everything's good. We just, we have talks about religion and stuff all the time, and everything's good. But it's not that easy as a parent of a non-binary kid. It's really not, because for me, someone who's old-fashioned, it's really hard to get used to that sort of thing. And I'm, one of the most accepting people. It's just I wasn't educated on any of these things, and it took me a while to try to educate myself and talk to other people. It's really important as a parent or a family member or a friend or whoever to have someone else to talk to who can help you with these questions, because I guarantee you, coming from someone who lives that, it's a different perspective, and you get a real answer, not just a textbook answer. So try to reach out to support groups or Facebook or videos or something where you can get some information, because it's important to understand not just from a textbook. You should understand from a person's perspective. And I could care less what my child does or, whatever, as long as she's happy and healthy. And I've watched this progress over the last 3 or 4 years and realized that this is M's lifestyle. It's how she identifies. Some days it's different, and we've come to a common ground. But it's important, and I've told her this, it's just as important for her to educate me as it is for me to be accepting of her. So, and I'm saying her because today she identified as female. So that's why I'm saying her. It's just as important for her to help me understand and help me learn as it is for her to feel accepted. So it's important on everybody's ground. It's important as a parent to try to understand, but it's also important as a child or a friend or a family member or whoever it is to help those people understand. These are new terms for everybody. There's new pronouns coming out. There's new everything coming out. It is so different. It's not, when I was growing up, there was cross-dressers and gay lesbian. That's pretty much all people ever talked about, when it came to identification. And it's so much different now. We have unisex bathrooms in our house. So it doesn't matter, who uses the bathroom. It's not a big deal. But it's one of those things as a parent that, I watched this video of this person who went through a sex change from male to female, lived as a female, and all of this stuff for 8 years. And then I believe it was male to female. female, I can't remember, I'm sorry. But I watched this and they tied a lot of it to depression. A lot of it was tied to depression. So I think it's important when depression is brought up and anxiety and things like that, mood disorders, to really seek help for them. But I think as a family, it's important for you to get help for your child, counseling, for that specifically when it comes to gender identity, someone who can support them, not to fix them, but to support them. That's huge. Because a family counselor or a church counselor, they're going to try to fix what they think is wrong with your child. That's not the direction you go in. You go in the direction of how to help your child, and they need support, not to be fixed. I think that's a big problem because people see it as there's something wrong with my kid, they're broken. That's not it. They're not broken. So it was important for me to make this video because I think it's important for people to understand that as parents, it's hard and that education is key. And I think it's important for anyone who does, identify, not male or female, to help educate the people who are having a hard time struggling with it. If you're going to talk to people about it and identify something as something different, help educate those people, but not in a combative sort of way. Just help them understand what those terms are, help them understand what those pronouns are, help them understand that it's not linked to sexuality all the time, that identity and sexuality are two different things. Help them understand this stuff because it's new to everybody. And all of these terms are even new. I mean, 10 years ago, people didn't use the term gender fluid. So it's really important to help educate people on every front. And when it comes to my kid, every day is different. But it's okay. Emma's just like any other kid. She's, trying to start college, and she's got an internship at a shelter. And I mean, she's well on her way to doing great things. But she still struggles with depression. And she does get help for that. I think it's important if your child is struggling with depression and gender identity and things like that to find someone in your area that can support them, a peer group or something. There are a lot of groups on Facebook for parents and family members. There are even support groups for LDS parents of gender fluid kids. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff out there, and I'm affiliated with a lot of them. So try to join those groups, try to get some support or get some answers, try to ask lots of questions. It's okay to ask questions, and it's okay to take a break from your kid. I know it can be overwhelming with all these new terms being thrown at you, and we live a very old-fashioned life. And my husband goes to work and I stay home and I make dinner when he comes home, and that's just our lifestyle. So I hope this helps some of you guys out, but it's okay for the parents to get help too. Get some support. Get some support for your kid. And it's okay to make it day by day. I love you guys. If you like this video, like and subscribe, and hit the bell on YouTube to let you know when my next video comes out.